The greatest racing heroes and heroines of the sport of kings. Racing heroes, Secretariat. I was just 19 when Secretariat ran his last race. At the time I was a fan of thoroughbred racing and had the opportunity to attend racing during the week because I was still in school. Whether it was Woodbine or Fort Erie, they were just down the QEW. I soon learned that it would be hard to work and attend the races every day, so I eventually decided harness racing was a better option for me. But like most racing aficionados in those days, I was a snob for thoroughbreds. But what a fantastic era to be a thoroughbred snob, because I got to witness some of the greatest horses in the history of North American racing. I was able to see Secretariat in person in his last career race. Later I would also have the opportunity to see the greatest harness horse of all time, Some Beach Somewhere, in his very first race at Grand River. Both events occurred just 50 kilometers from my home but 40 years apart. That day at Woodbine, I walked down to the paddock to see them saddle the great beast. The vision of Secretariat wasn't disappointing. He had the biggest chest I had ever seen on a horse and glowed like he was some kind of cartoon fantasy horse. Clearly, he possessed superior breathing capacity. There were other great horses there to see that day, such as Big Spruce and Golden Dawn, who finished second and third. Golden Dawn was just 3 himself, but I obviously loved the turf. As the horses made their way from the paddock to the track, they passed down a corridor lined with crazy fans. I had a camera with me that had a flash on it, so my friend Caesar pushed his way through to negotiate me to the front of the line so I could take a picture. When Secretariat came along the path to the track, he was 10 feet away and directly in front of me. He turned and looked me right in the eye. I couldn't take a flash picture of him, so I just looked him right back in the eye and burned that image into my brain. Eyes closed. I went to the wicket and purchased my $2 win, place and show tickets. They are my greatest collectibles to this day. It was an overcast day for the Rothmans Grand Prix, which had attracted aged turf horses from around the world to contest for the prize on Woodbine's famous Marshall Turf Course, which was a downhill course that crossed the dirt track at the top of the stretch. Officials walked up and down the course for hours to decide whether this newly syndicated $6 million horse would run or not. Secretariat had beaten all of the 3-year-old competition. He had beaten everything that ran on dirt. Now he was taking on the greatest turf horses from around the world. Did Man of War do that? Did Seabiscuit do that? The great Darrell Wells called the race as it began with Kennedy Road taking the lead and Secretariat just biding his time behind him. Kennedy Road was a local favorite that put in a lifetime effort that day as the rabbit. When they turned down the backstretch, Secretariat pulled up beside him, shifted his weight and blasted past Kennedy Road, leaving them all a dozen lengths behind. The story was told that more than $100,000 worth of tickets remained uncashed that day. As the year went on, news reports told of people having to cash in their tickets because they were out of gas while driving passing Woodbine. Some people just lost or misplaced their tickets, and some were indeed in the hands of collectors such as myself. For me, the story of Secretariat wasn't about Penny Tweedy's flip of a coin, nor Lucien Lauren's ability or Ron Turcotte, and certainly not Disney's shellac version. It was about Secretariat. Disney ignored some of the most tragic events that occurred later on in his life, probably because they didn't want to tarnish their heroes. Secretariat was bred to Franfloha, a daughter of Northern Dancer, in 1977. She was the greatest Canadian turf horse of all time and owned by Jean-Louis Levesque. Franfloha had some medical issues, so she was given medication while in foal to Secretariat. Bandits stole Franfloha and the horse hunt was on all across Quebec with a ransom demanded. Eventually, they found her wandering the back roads of Quebec with the foal in tow and healthy. The name given to the foal was Safe and Sound. You can see their image on a collector plate created by the great horse artist Fred Stone. Secretariat could have been the greatest sire of all time by siring other Triple Crown winners such as Risen Star should have been. He was deprived of this opportunity by a hoof infection that killed him at just 14 years of age in a time when sires should live to 40. Should we ask Penny Tweedy how this happened? Or was she too busy saving the farm after cashing out? The only other horse I would have liked to have seen was Far Lap. I would need to be 90 today though.